Hey, what is going on, everybody? Welcome to Upkick MMA episode 454. I am Brendan. All right, UFC Fight Night, Adesanya versus Imavov. We're going to break down that fight, all the rest of the fights on the main card here in this video. We're going to talk about them, go through them round by round. If you like this kind of thing, subscribe to the channel. That way you know the next video is coming out. I'd really appreciate it. And if you find yourself liking this video, hit the like button. Do that too. All right, let's talk about this main event. It did happen relatively early yesterday, so I probably could have put this video out last night, but I got busy with other stuff. Anyway, okay, let's talk about the fight first, and then we'll talk about some of the implications, and then also some of the media surrounding this and some other people posting stuff that I don't necessarily agree with. I see where they're coming from, but we will talk about it. So Imavov starts out the fight wanting those low kicks, Adesanya matching and kicking, stabbing kick to the body. He didn't actually go to that very often. It was like, I think he only did it once. But those low kicks were there for him. Imavov losing the trading battle early and shoots, only to get shucked off twice. So clearly, in his game plan, he was like, okay, well, I'll stay in and trade with him, and if things start going sideways, I'll take him down, right? Which is often the plan with Adesanya. Like, if your first plan isn't to take him down and dominate him on the ground, you know, these guys they'll stand and trade with him, and then they'll use their grappling to mix it up, Robert Whittaker style, right? Robert Whittaker put together the actual blueprint to beat Adesanya, and then Alex Pereira, that's not a real blueprint, although that's what happened here. It's just like landing one big shot obviously can work against anybody. I don't know if that's the blueprint to beat Adesanya successfully over a lot of over multiple matchups, and I also don't know if a lot of people can kind of follow that blueprint, right? So Adesanya was staying with those low kicks, overswings on a right hand, and then shucks off a clinch, right? So the grappling wasn't even working from Imavov in this round. Imavov is just short on most of his jabs, not wanting to move into range. Big rear uppercut lands for Imavov. Best punch of this round from him, but when he moves in, Adesanya plants and lands two big hooks. Imavov again wanting to take down, just nothing there. Adesanya using his volume to get out in front and avoid being hugged to death in this round. He outstruck him 20-8. Excellent round from the former champion. I thought Adesanya looked fantastic. I thought everything he was doing was working, and based off how that first round went, I could see him doing that 4 or 5 rounds and Imavov getting frustrated and not being able to track him down. Second round, right away, Adesanya lands a low kick hard, a quick jab, and then a left straight to the body. Beautiful sequence, and then Imavov pokes him in the eye. All right, this is not going to get talked about. I promise you this won't get talked about by anybody else, because everybody likes to gloss over fouls when something notable happens, right? Regardless of the foul, unless it was the direct end of the fight, it will be shuffled to the side. People will not talk about it. He gets poked in the eye. Adesanya chooses to not take a break. Probably not the smartest move, but no break. And then Imavov lands a right hand almost immediately, and Goddard steps in a little bit early to stop it. Was it a bad stoppage? Absolutely not. It was a fine stoppage. It was just a little bit early. Probably could have taken a couple more punches, but to protect the fighter, I'm actually okay with it. That's fine. And then here's the other thing. They said afterwards, they're like, what an impressive performance by Imavov. Again, I'm not going to take away the fact that he finished Adesanya. Fantastic finish, whatever. That is what it is. But as a whole, would you say that Imavov's performance in the one round, essentially, that this fight lasted, warranted the phrase impressive? I wouldn't think so. Okay, in that first round, he got stifled, shut down, and landed one good shot the entire time. Yes, he landed 8 strikes in that first round, but none of them were, I would consider, meaningful. 3 to the head, 5 to the legs. You know, most of his good shots were actually leg kicks, and even then he got beat out on the leg kicks by Adesanya, who landed more and better and more of them. So Adesanya, Adesanya catches a lot of flack for random reasons from all over the place, and I've seen some people saying, "Is this the end of an era? Is this the end? Should he quit?" Like this and that, because he's lost 3 in a row. Okay, so he lost to Sean Strickland in a crazy upset. Like, Strickland just shut him down. And when you talk about impressive performance, somebody going toe-to-toe with Adesanya on the feet, stifling him, shutting him down for 5 rounds, and essentially not letting Adesanya do anything positive as far as a game plan or working towards damage or a finish, anything. I mean, Strickland's performance against Adesanya should go down as one of the most dominant, impressive performances by a challenger in an unexpected way in UFC history. Like, people are going to write it off because it's Sean Strickland. They don't like the way he fights, and people are going to write it off because they're going to say Adesanya didn't deserve to be there because of, revisionist history, this and that. Beautiful performance by Sean Strickland. Maybe an off night by Adesanya. That's a dominant performance. Dricus du Plessis, again, another fantastic performance in a very close fight, in a fight that, Adesanya could have been winning, depending on how you look at it, whatever. And then du Plessis lands that shot and that's an impressive performance. He didn't get to finish till round 4, and we saw him be able to stand with Adesanya. Imavov gets shut down in the first round, lands one good punch after poking him in the eye, and then gets the TKO stoppage right there, right? Again, it's a win, and the win was impressive. Beating Adesanya is impressive, but is it an impressive performance? Right? This wasn't even if it was like, if he had landed this punch in the 5th round after getting dominated for 4 rounds, would you consider that an impressive performance? Probably not. You would say an impressive comeback. So I don't think Adesanya is done. I don't think he should retire unless he wants to. But here's the other thing: if Imavov, who probably should go fight for the title after this, looking at the rankings here, it is likely that Adesanya is going to move probably down to, oh, good God, if he's going to drop below 3. Actually, I would shift them all down. Maybe Chimaev moves up because they're going to want to push him too. Anyway, Imavov's most likely going to move into the number 2 spot, possibly the number 1 after this following weekend with du Plessis and Sean Strickland. So the loser of that will be probably bounced. He's probably next for the title. I wouldn't mind him getting a title shot. That would be okay with me. Obviously, Chimaev wants a title shot, but him getting into the cage is the biggest battle for a multitude of reasons. So if Imavov goes on and wins the title, du Plessis won and got the title, right? So he's only losing in title fights. Adesanya is, It's not like he's some bum who's fighting up-and-comers and getting taken out by everybody in every which way. It's just he got caught. It is what it is. It's, the fight game. So if this becomes a pattern where he keeps getting caught and his chin gets tested and he can't pass those tests anymore, then absolutely. And if he chooses to, that's fine. But as of right now, let's not do the curtain call. I don't think Adesanya's done. I don't think it's over. I think he still has a lot of fun matchups, fun fights that he can do, and I wouldn't even put it past him getting the title. I think he's very competitive with everybody in the top 5. Sean Strickland, Chimaev, du Plessis, Whitaker, and Imavov. I think he's competitive with all of them. I think he, for sure, could stand with them, and depending on who's champion at the time, if he ever gets another title shot, I think he can get it back. So I don't think that he should call it quits. That's just my opinion, and I know that that's not the pervasive opinion now, but that's mine. Anyway, moving on. Shara Magomedov versus Michael Venom Page. Now, this fight wasn't the most exciting. It wasn't full of just fireworks. They didn't just stand there and swing and, do stupid shit. They actually had a relatively technical, tentative fight. And I think that's in no small part because of the way that MVP fights. So both guys landing fast low kicks, MVP laughing at him when he starts missing because Magomedov was landing these low kicks, not regularly, but enough that Michael Venom Page had to make an adjustment, and he started slipping out of the way of him. And then as the fight went on, he actually landed less of them. Like he landed more in that 3rd round, but that 2nd round, he had a real problem tracking down MVP. Magomedov was skirting the outside of the cage, not really wanting to get into hand range. Like, he didn't want to get into punching range. MVP overextends, gets caught in a guillotine briefly, then in a clinch. The crowd immediately boos, right? When MVP's in charge in the clinch, the crowd immediately boos. That's a theme that you'll see repeating itself throughout the night. One big shot would win this round, as the only thing that's really landed are the low kicks from both guys. Big leaping right hand, as I write that, from MVP. Magomedov is still tentative. A spinning heel kick landing for MVP. Not enough to rock him, but enough to do damage. Hard round to score because the control goes to MVP. Damage is probably about even unless you think those light, just out of range slaps to the leg were worth more than they really were. And, we all know how they probably will score it, but I scored it for MVP. He outstruck him here 13-9. He actually hit him in the head. Magomedov landed one shot to the head in this first round. And then as far as leg kicks go, it was 6-5 in favor of Magomedov, but like dead even on the leg kicks essentially. And then, Michael Venom Page actually being able to find the mark up top. And he had the control time, so even if he had damage, even if should go to MVP. Second round, MVP lands that leaping right hand again, shoves him off balance, and Magomedov still swinging out of range. MVP is just so frustrating to fight. You see these guys go in there. I'm sure they had a game plan. I'm sure they brought in a karate guy. I'm sure that they had all this stuff planned out, and they were practicing it. He is just so frustrating, and you see it on everybody's face. You see it in everybody's body language, and then the way they fight and how they need to adjust while they're in there to fight him. And every single one, to a man, has to do something different than what they're used to. And you see it throws them off. And every time Magomedov wants to pressure, right, which isn't often, by the way, it does happen a little bit more in the third round, but in the second round and the first round, he would try to pressure. MVP just does this forward shrug, right, or he'll slightly, like when he bounces, like he'll jerk forward, and every single time he did that, Magomedov would step back, right. He's feinting, and then Magomedov step back. So MVP's creating space just by feinting and stopping the forward pressure of Magomedov. Again, MVP landing that right hand and clinching up. Through 1.5 rounds, Magomedov has landed a single head strike, and the leg kicks aren't even landing. He didn't even land a head strike in the second round. Even in the clinch, Magomedov can't get control. MVP pitching a virtual shutout, outstriking him here 14-7. Again, crowd not super happy about it, but it is what it is. MVP stays in range to take a kick and counter with that hard jab. There are moments where MVP is just standing still and Magomedov refuses to take a forward step. That whole counter-fighter thing. Magomedov finally able to apply some pressure, but is eating right hands for his troubles, and MVP is dodging everything, then throws a completely silly jab, right? He throws these silly wispy jabs that aren't meant to hit. They're literally just distraction jabs, and then he ducks down, comes up with a left hook, a beautifully timed, cool thing, lands it. Just what a fucking guy. Magomedov finds the most success that he's had all fight with a little bit of clinch control and time against the cage, but no real damage with it. And then Magomedov might have landed 2 punches to the head, but then back to missing and being counterstruck. He did land 7 head strikes in this round. He outstruck him here 22-16, but a lot of those, he landed 10 shots to the body and 5 shots to the leg, and I don't count those over what Michael Venom Page was landing to the head. MVP falls on a spin attempt, but then lands this hard-ass up kick with the heel just coming down from, like, he falls down and just, boom, kicks him in the frickin' face. And if that didn't do more damage than anything that Magomedov threw at him in this round, I don't know what you're watching. So I gave him all 3 rounds. Looking at the judges' scorecards here, Mike Bell decided to give that last round to Magomedov. I'm not mad at it, but I do think that that last up kick really sealed it. I had it pretty close. It would have been a little bit harder to decide had that up kick not landed. Jacob Montalvo and Clemens Werner both gave all 3 rounds to MVP. So Magomedov likely will drop out of the rankings, being 14. He was previously undefeated. I was not so high on him. I thought he lost his last fight anyway. No one's going to talk about those things because it's in the past. It doesn't matter. That's the way of the world. All right, Sergei Pavlovich taking on Jairzinho Rozenstruik. This was a relatively boring fight. Measuring jabs, low kicks from Rozenstruik. Pavlovich landing a decent right straight just at the end of it, right? He's just catching him at the end of those, not really able to do a ton of damage. Lots of boos from the lack of activity and the lack of a home team fighter here. Obviously, they're in the Middle East. They really love, Muslim fighters. They love local guys, people from the Middle East, and they had nothing to really root for in this one necessarily. And because of that, I mean, even if they did, there's a clear bias because the fight before this, anytime Nurmagomedov would clinch, they wouldn't immediately boo. In this one, they would. Rozenstruik overextends on a combo, and Pavlovich counters with a right hand and lands as Rozenstruik rolls with it. Heavy jab landing for Pavlovich, and these crashes are starting to favor him. So every time they would kind of crash and move in together, in that chaos, Pavlovich was getting the better of it. Rozenstruik trips and ends the round on bottom. Not much with it, but that's Pavlovich's round, having over a minute of control time, outstriking him 11-7. I think the clear path to victory was getting him on the ground. We saw that play out later, but Rozenstruik has always had a problem getting off his back, and Pavlovich, even if it was 50-50 on the feet, which I don't think it was, it seemed more like 60-40, 70-30 in the favor of Pavlovich as far as who was getting the better of it. I still think that his easiest path to victory was just pushing him over and getting him on top of him, which is what happened later, like I said. Still a very tentative fight from both guys, staying out of range, throwing measuring jabs in the air. Rozenstruik landing with that jab, sliding back to avoid, and countering with that lead hook. He's still really smooth, man. Rozenstruik on the feet is a hard guy to fight. So many boos. And then Mark Smith tells them to work. Great. Another slip by Rozenstruik, and he's on his back, and that's the rest of the round. So he was on his back for 2 minutes and 19 seconds. Not a ton with it. He did outstrike him on the feet, 6-3. I think Rozenstruik was winning this round before he got taken down, but alas, he did not stay on his feet. So last round, warned again by the ref to do something 45 seconds into the round. Both guys, it's because of the booze. Both guys left hands at the end of an exchange. They land left hands at the end of an exchange, but Rozenstruik needs to change something. He needs a finish, right? He can't just go in there and try to stay measured and just win a point battle. He can't do that. He's down 2 rounds. Huge jab from Pavlovich and a body lock takedown. That's probably it. Back up with 25 seconds left. A little bit of chaos to make things interesting, but Pavlovich outstrikes him here 11-4. Was on top of him for 2 minutes and 50 seconds. So that's the fight. Pavlovich looking good still. I think that Pavlovich could. I would still like to see him fight for a title, but with John Jones being the current champion, it ain't happening. It ain't happening. Like, Pavlovich ain't fighting for a title while John Jones is champ. So, all right. Said Nurmagomedov versus Vinicius Oliveira. Guys, the blueprint's there. You know how to beat these guys now. Whether you can follow the blueprint is a different story, but the blueprint is there to beat these guys out of Khabib's camp. Okay? It is there. Nurmagomedov going with the kicks, landing low kicks and high kicks over that. He's throwing stuff over his head. Lots of kicks to start. Nurmagomedov with the spinning back kick, knocking Oliveira over. Could have landed on the chin, but I think it was more to the shoulder or chest because Oliveira was ducking down at the same time. Similar to how, good grief, I'm not going to remember who did it. Good grief, that happened. It was a flash knockout. Oh, good. Oh, no. It was that middleweight, too. Former tough winner. I know I know how it happened, and I'm just blanking on the names. Anyway, Oliveira trying to close the distance and chase him, just not able to get close enough to land the big right hand. Nurmagomedov complaining about an eye poke on the clinch break. There was one. Oliveira is loading up on everything, just trying to land big, and Nurmagomedov lands something, but Oliveira off balance. Nurmagomedov goes flying knee, but ends up on his back, not able to do too much damage with it. And Oliveira did have more control time in the clinch, and then on top here, it had 2 minutes and 44 seconds of that, but he got outstruck 12-3. He didn't do enough damage in this round. This is clearly Nurmagomedov's round. Second round, Oliveira starts landing low kicks and trying his hand at spinning kicks as well. Nurmagomedov has had enough of his legs being kicked and goes takedown, settles for the clinch, but gets reversed. And then Oliveira ducks the spin, gets the body lock takedown, back up with nothing going, not much damage. Again, Nurmagomedov camp, another Nurmagomedov camp member starts to slow down and starts complaining about things. Like, he complained about an eye poke and things that were going on in there. Was there an eye poke? Yes. Like, that's a focus thing, though, right? And now shooting, he's shooting because he's losing the exchanges now, and he's starting to get tired, and he really needs that break that they plan in by out-grappling their opponents and wearing on them. But he doesn't get it. Oliveira is breaking him with the pressure, big shots, and Nurmagomedov taking big breaths, keeping his hands low. He got outstruck here 21-13, had very little in the way of offense, not able to implement his game plan, and he's starting to fade. 19-19 going to the third round. Oliveira landing hard hooks, going to the body. Nurmagomedov slips and content to stay on his back. Finally back up with 1 minute and 50 seconds. Oliveira is way ahead in this round. Nurmagomedov keeps shooting for takedowns, and Oliveira keeps sprawling and putting him on his putting his hips down slamming Nurmagomedov's face to the ground. And unless there is a fucked up home field advantage shit, Oliveira should win this 29-28. This last round went 19-13 for strikes in favor of Oliveira. Clearly his. All three judges think baby Jesus we got the right scorecards here, because this whole thing is it's really starting to get to me with these bad scorecards. I mean, it always does. But Ben Cartlidge, Jacob Montalvo, and Tony Weeks also doing their job. Nurmagomedov is a tough challenge, and Oliveira is a big dude for the division. I'm telling you, the game plan is there. The blueprint is there. Whether or not you can follow it and maintain it and apply it, that's different. But you stuff their takedowns, you put pressure on them, and you make them work, and they will get tired. They will get tired because their game plan relies on them getting you down to the ground and being able to wear you down. Right? If they don't do that, they get tired. Every single one of them to a man. We've seen it happen multiple weeks in a row from all different, from different organizations even. This has happened, and it will continue to happen. It's just a matter of who can apply it. All right, the first fight in the main card here, Mike Davis versus Faraz Ziam. This one was weird. This was... Ziam has changed quite a bit. He had a very tentative start to I keep using that word, but he had a very soft start to the UFC. He was almost unsure of himself, and he's really kind of come into his own with his striking, really sitting down on his punches, landing some big stuff, and he does have slick striking. A leg kick from Davis as he feints a takedown to pull guard, which was weird. Davis repeatedly trying to butterfly sweep and content just to stay down and pull guard. Ziam lets him stand up and then lands a 1-2 as he stands up. Ziam doing a good job staying on the outside, retreating and then countering. And then Davis fails a takedown, takes an elbow for his troubles on the separation, then comes in and lands a huge right hand of his own to a back body lock, slams him, takes mount. Davis landing some good knees to the body into the ground, but that's just not enough. He got outstruck here 16-8, was not able to implement his offense enough. The control time was about half and half, 134-123 in favor of Davis. I gave that first round to Ziam. Second round here, huge freaking hooks from Ziam. Tries to retreat, Davis lands some huge freaking hooks as Ziam tries to retreat, but he eats all of them and ends up clinching up. I think if Davis had stayed on the attack and not clinched up there, he could have got more done, but he didn't. Decided to clinch up. A knee from Ziam cuts Davis's head up pretty bad. He starts bleeding all over the place like crazy. The rest of the fight, just blood everywhere. Ziam goes takedown, but Davis uses a heel hook entry into a calf slicer and then mount with the calf, and then the calf slicer still in place in mount, which was crazy to see. Ziam's leg was twisted sideways. If he doesn't have knee damage, then he's got some weird cartilage in there, some weird flexible tendons, and lots of pressure on that knee. Davis is bleeding everywhere, like I said. Ziam getting a deep eye poke that goes unnoticed. Ziam ends the round on top, landing a couple big shots, and that's probably enough, especially with the home field advantage. I thought he looked pretty good there, winning that round 10-6. Striking numbers 10-6 in favor of Ziam. I know he was controlled a little bit in that round, but he had enough control too. I thought he did more damage anyway. Last round, Davis right in on the pressure, and Ziam now wants a takedown, spends 3 minutes on top. Davis needs to finish, but Ziam shoots another takedown, staying safe. He just wanted to get the win. Davis using a leg entry again to get on top, but that's, again, not enough. All three judges had it. Let's see here. All three judges had it the same way, 30-27 for Ziam. That's it. There was some interesting stuff on the card. It's probably more of a deep cut for most people. You could watch the main event. I thought the Venom Page stuff was interesting, but again, it's more of a deep cut. Sergei Pavlovich and Rozenstruik, that's not the most exciting fight to watch. Oliveira versus Nurmagomedov was exciting, and then Ziam versus Davis had its moments. So really, on the main card, you're looking at one fight that I would go out of my way to watch the whole thing, and that would be Oliveira versus Nurmagomedov. All right, that is it. I appreciate y'all for stopping by. If you're looking for the prelims, that'll be in the next video. If you like this kind of thing, subscribe to the channel. The next video is coming out. I'd really appreciate it. And if you did like this video, hit the like button. Love you guys. Have an amazing week. Peace.